and welcome to Exploring Digital Technologies at WHSK. This is Colton at Bloomsburg University. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being part of this podcast. This is going to be a short audio documentary about how digital technologies and or social media has affected the lives of Bloomsburg students. Let's jump right in. So, being students that have attended Bloomsburg University before and after COVID-19, have you noticed a significant increase in usage of online tools such as Bolt or McGraw-Hill Connect? Let's start with Rachel.
There definitely was an increase after COVID. I feel like before COVID we did use it, but not nearly as much, and in some classes we didn't even use them at all. So afterwards we definitely used it a lot more and in all the classes.
All right. McKayla, do you agree, disagree? Want to add anything?
I agree with Rachel. I feel like after COVID we were using Bolt, not necessarily McGraw-Hill more, in my opinion. I think that teachers and professors that really weren't used to using Bolt were kind of pushed into using it more because we only had online learning, so that was their only option to give us information. So it definitely encouraged those professors that were more inclined to teach more in-person style to use Bolt more. So I think there was an increase.
Brendan, anything to add?
For my major, it felt kind of the same. They used Bolt very similarly to how they did when it was in person as was when it was online. It didn't really change too much. There was always the same assignments to do, the same documents to read on it, and McGraw-Hill wasn't really used too much.
All right, and to tie in with that first question, assuming you had both in-person tests with pen and paper as well as some online tests, would you say using these digital technologies has eased testing anxiety? Let's start with Brenda this time.
Yeah, I was definitely more comfortable taking tests in my own apartment or house. It was just a nicer setting to be in. Pen and paper, there was a little bit more pressure feel to it, and I also liked not having to get up super early to walk to a class and just being able to wake up, open the laptop, and take a test.
McKayla?
I would say that I preferred the in-person testing just because with the online testing and everything, I was always nervous that there was going to be some technological issue, or a lot of times I would have professors that would use the lockdown browser through Bolt, and just with the camera recording, I was always worried that roommates or something was going to walk by if I was taking a test and set off the flags or anything that were set through them. So for that reason, I think I preferred the in-person testing.
That actually did happen to me. My Wi-Fi shut off during an exam and I was losing it.
Oh, geez.
It was comfortable up until that point.
Rachel, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say I agree. I liked being able to take tests from my own apartment and from my own room. But I also agree with McKayla, when you live at school, you most times have roommates, or at least one, sometimes a couple, and the Wi-Fi issues also could definitely cause some problems. So besides those worries, I think it was nice to take it from your own house.
So another question pertaining to both of those, having attended BU before and after COVID, would you say the integration of using these technologies more has helped or hindered your academic success?
I don't feel like it really changed anything about my academic success. It definitely, one difference was it definitely made it a lot easier to time manage. So there wasn't you had to factor in time being on campus, or I could just stay in my apartment, do my studying there, take whatever homework I needed to do there, and take whatever exams or quizzes there. That'd probably be the only difference.
I would say it probably having the more technologies and having to take tests online, as much as I preferred it, I feel like I studied harder for tests that were in person because I felt more of that pressure. So I feel like studying harder in that way, like kind of helped me learn it better. So in a way, I guess that the technology kind of hindered it in that way.
Kayla, anything to add?
Yeah, I would agree with Rachel. I think that when I had those in-person tests, I was studying harder because I just think like being in like a social setting, it was just more, I don't know, more of a motivation. Whereas like when you're sitting in front of your computer screen, it can be it's just a lot different. So I think I was definitely studying a lot. Like I was studying harder for like the in-person testing as well. So it kind of pushed me to do that.
Yeah, I can actually relate to that as well. I'm taking a Spanish course right now, and learning it online is completely different. Like I wish I was learning it in person where I could ask questions, like get help if I needed to, but
yeah.
I'm just sitting at my computer looking at a screen, looking at like a recorded video of the professor, and whenever I have to ask questions I can't ask him, so I just go on Google and look it up. But really that doesn't help me because I have to get my help elsewhere. But
right.
I guess it does vary on what you're studying at what class.
Yeah. So a wrap-up question, we kind of went over this already, but do you prefer online courses and tests or in person, and why? Just to wrap it up.
Overall, I prefer in person because I feel like I'm learning more and I'm getting more out of like the classes that I'm paying for.
McKayla?
I would agree with Rachel. I think I would prefer I do prefer the in-person learning. I think it just helps a lot with like social situations and kind of sets you up for like the real world, like after college, like having an actual job, like face to face with the people and in society. I think it's definitely, I benefit a lot more being in the actual classroom.
Brendan, anything to add?
So I liked having my classes in person because being able to develop that connection with the professor is really important. But I preferred, there were points where my courses would have online exams where we wouldn't have to go into class, but then we would still have all of our classes still in person. I think that's the little hybrid I really preferred, because I still got to meet and see face to face with the professor and develop that type of connection. And then I just preferred taking online tests in the comfort of my own place.
Well, thank you for sharing your opinions and all the information you had.
Thanks for having me.